Well, no one has welcomed these rains any more than our state's farmers. Our Austin Moore traveled to far western Oklahoma, where farmers and ranchers have been suffering through years of drought, but not anymore.
I'm over 18 inches since the 1st of April. That's more rain than I have had in the last 3 years combined.
After 5 years of drought, Roger Mills County rancher Monty Tucker says this rain is healing old wounds.
I've seen things that I don't ever want to see again. Standing right behind me here in this background, a year ago was blowing sand drifts, and this is how it's recovered. It's just amazing this land will recover like it does when it gets moisture. Our buffalo grasses we thought were gone. Some of my grandmother's pastures year and a half ago looked like the surface of Mars.
This rain allows Tucker to pull cattle completely out of some fields so they can sit idle and heal.
It's a well-deserved rest for these pastures. We've asked a lot of them the last 4 years, so we're going to pull off, we're going to rotate again. We're back into a normal pattern of rotation, bringing stockers in to utilize extra forage, and it's really nice to have options instead of being forced into a decision like we were 11, 12, 13.
Of course, rain does bring a handful of complications, though you'd be hard-pressed here to find anyone ready to complain about the moisture. Tucker is on the lookout for foot rot in his herd. Wheat harvest is being delayed, and wheat hay is progressing too far as farmers wait for things to dry out. Custom baler Mark Browning explains.
Everybody is waiting till after rain before they start swathing. And then now the rains have hit and they're not letting go, and everything's turned to grain. So there's not going to be any really nice wheat hay in this part of the country.
And for Brandon Hickey, owner of the Elk City Livestock Auction, the rain reminds him of lessons learned from an older generation.
You know, I had an old-timer tell me when we was just really getting into the heart of this drought, we knew we were sure enough in trouble. We was sure enough in a doozy of a drought. And this guy, he'd went through the 1930s drought and the 1950s drought. And he told me that you'll know when the drought's over because you'll get more rain than you want. You'll be sick of the rain before it stops. Now, out at my ranch, I'm a long ways from that yet, but here at this sale barn, I may be getting real close.
Fridays are sale days, a time when employees work to keep cattle flowing through the ring as quickly as possible. Usually.
You know, Thursdays and Fridays is somewhat frustrating around here right now because they're getting their exercise. You know, they're trudging through some pretty deep mud at times, but you know, I've got a really good crew. They know how to handle cattle, handle them as quick as we can without being dangerous to the cattle. It's not too hard to handle them slow in these pens right now because you can't go very fast in them.
Yet these inconveniences are something no one here is in any hurry to complain about.
I mean, everybody's still cautious, you know, we're not totally convinced that we're out of the woods, but it just, you know, you step lighter, your heart is lighter, you know, everybody smiles a little bit more.
They'll take the rain. They don't care if they lose a crop. They're ready for the rain.
When the lakes are full, our streams are running, we're getting stuck and we're pulling each other out. I'm not going to call calf rope for a long time. 2011 will stick in my memory for a long time.
Well, Austin, we've both covered agriculture for longer than I'm going to admit to. In general, is the mood out there significantly different now than it was just a couple of years ago?
Oh, massively. In fact, at the Elk City Livestock Auction, where I've shot a number of times, I've never seen it this fun. People were joking back and forth with the auctioneer and calling them out on stuff. It was a lot of fun to be out there. Everyone's in a great mood.
Yeah, funny what a little bit of rain will do. So I do want to ask you about what one of your interviews said. And he's talking about how the wheat crop probably not going to be able to cut it and use it for hay, and it was going to go to grain, and that was going to be a problem for him. In general, how is Oklahoma's wheat crop doing?
Well, in general, it's not a real pretty picture right now. We needed the rain, and in fact, we have parts of our state, especially in the Northwest, that wouldn't have a crop if we hadn't had some cool temperatures, some cloudy days, and a lot of rain. We got that, and so we're better off there. But as a whole, we've had it too much. At this point, we're looking at delaying harvest and getting some sprout in at some point. So you're looking at a reduction. Estimates are around 20% loss in yields.
So Austin, you've given us a really good snapshot of some of the challenges that they're facing right now. But let's talk big picture. What does this latest rain, what does it mean for Oklahoma's agriculture industry, not just going forward in the next coming weeks, but in the coming years?
Well, it's a great rain. It gives people hope. It gives them opportunity. It lets them plan a little bit for the future. But we can't forget that we had some real big cost with this drought. Probably the biggest thing is the loss of generational knowledge. We had a lot of folks in their 60s, 70s, into their 80s that would have still been doing this for a while. Now they've dropped out. They had to sell out of cattle. They weren't able to, take on the loans with the expectation they could get more. And so now we have those folks who have all that knowledge you'd like to pull on. They're simply gone.
Well, certainly an important story that's important to a lot of communities around the state. Thank you so much, Austin.
You're welcome, Rob.